अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेव्या भगवते नाम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी यत्कीर्तनं यत् श्रवणं यदीक्षणं यद्वन्दनं यत् स्मरणं यदर्हणं लोकस्य सद्यो विधनोति कल्मषं तस्मै सुभद्रश्रवसे नमो नमः। निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानां अच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शंभु पुराणानां इदं तथा। तंत्रा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। So I will bring verses one by one. Oh, yeah. Today I am instructed to speak from verse number 13 to 20 in chapter 13 of Canto 4. The title of the chapter is the Descendants of Dhruv Maharaj. And since there are, I think, 8 verses in number, and first I will read them maybe a couple of times, and then I'll leave the forum open for devotees to chant one by one. And as one has chanted one verse, I'll change the screen for next verse. So one devotee can, I request one devotee can read one verse, and then next devotee can read the next verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is, I'm reading from the book which is with me, and you can have a look at the verse, and you please read it after I have finished reading. So I'm going to read in one go all the 8 verses first. Verse number 13. पुष्पार्पणस्य प्रभाभार्या दोषाचा द्वे बभूवतुः प्रातर्मध्यादिनं सायं इति है आसन प्रभासुताः। पुष्पार्पणस्य प्रभाभार्या दोषाचा द्वे बभूवतुः प्रातर्मध्यादिनं सायं इति है आसन प्रभासुताः। Next number 14. प्रदोषो निशितो व्युष्ट इति दोषसुतास्त्रयः युष्टा सुतं पुष्कारिण्यां सर्वतेजसाम् अदधे। प्रदोषो निशितो व्युष्ट इति दोषसुतास्त्रयः युष्टा सुतं पुष्कारिण्यां सर्वतेजसाम् अदधे। Next 15 and 16. सा चक्षुः सुतम् अकुत्यां पत्न्यां मनुम् अवापः मनोरथ असुत महिषी विरजान्नड्वला सुतान्। सा चक्षुः सुतम् अकुत्यां पत्न्यां मनुम् अवापः मनोरथ असुत महिषी विरजान्नड्वला सुतान्। पुरं कुत्सं त्रितं द्युम्नं सत्यवन्तं ऋतं वृतं अग्निहोष्टाम् अतिरात्रं तद्युम्नं शिबिम् उल्मुखम्। पुरं कुत्सं त्रितिं द्युम्नं सत्यवन्तं ऋतं वृतं अग्निहोष्टम् अतिरात्रं तद्युम्नं शिबिम् उल्मुखम्। पुरं कुत्सं त्रितिं द्युम्नं सत्यवन्तं ऋतं वृतं अग्निहोष्टम् अतिरात्रं प्रद्युम्नं शिबिम् उल्मुखम्। Text 17. उल्मुखो जनयत् पुत्रान् पुष्पकारिण्यान् षट् उत्तमान् अंगं सुमनसं ख्यातिं क्रतुम् अंगिरसं गयम्। उल्मुखो जनयत् पुत्रान् पुष्पकारिण्यान् षट् उत्तमान् अंगं सुमनसं ख्यातिं क्रतुम् अंगिरसं गयम्। Text 18. सुनीतांगस्य या पत्नी सुष्वे वेणुम् उल्बणम् यद् दौशील्यात् सा राजर्षिर् निर्विन्नो निर्गात् पुरात्। सुनीतांगस्य या पत्नी सुष्वे वेणुम् उल्बणम् यद दौशीलियात् स राजऋषिर निर्विन्नो निर्गात पुरात् सुनीतांगस्य या पत्नी सुश्वे वेणुम उल्बणम यद दौशीलियात् स राजऋषिर निर्विन्नो निर्गात पुरात्. Text 19 and 20. यमंगम शेपुः कुपिता वाग्व्रजा मुन्याः किल गतोस्तस्य भूयस्ते ममंथुर्दक्षिणीं करम. यमंग शेपुः कुपिता वाग्व्रजा यमंगम शेपुः कुपिता वाग्व्रजा मुन्याः किल गता सोतस्य तस्य भूयस्ते ममंथुर्दक्षिणं करम. यमंग शेपुः कुपिता वाग्व्रजा मुन्याः किल गतासोस्तस्य भूयस्ते ममंथुर्दक्षिणं करम. अराज के तदालोके दास्युभिः पीड़िता प्रजाः जातो नारायणं शेन पृथुराराध्यकीश्वरः. अराज के तदालोके दास्युभिः पीड़िताः प्रजाः जातो नारायणं शेन पृथुराद्याकीश्वरः. राज के तदालोके दास्युभिः पीड़िता प्रजाः जातो नारायणं शेन पृथुराद्याकीश्वरः. अराज के तदालोके दास्युभिः पीड़िताः प्रजाः जातो नारायण शेन पृथुराद्याकीश्वरः. Now I request devotees to kindly unmute and read these verses. And,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So I read the text, first text, 13.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Pushparannasya pravabharya dosha cha de bahu atu pratur maddadinam shattam shayam itihi asan prabha sutaha.
Next is 14. Can someone read, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Pradosho nishidho vyushta iti dosha shutastrayah bushto shutam pushkarinyam sarvateja samadade.
Thank you, Mataji. Next, 15 and 16. Someone can read, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Should I read?
Yes, please.
Sa chakshu shutam akutyam patneyam manum abapaha manorasusta mahishi virajan nadvala shutan puram pushtam tritam dhumyam sattavatam ritam vratam agnistomam atirastram pradmana shivam ulmukam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next, please.
I am trying, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Not Hare Krishna.
Ulmukho agganayat putran puskarinayam sad uttaman angam sumanasham khayatim kratum angirasham gayam. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Next, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Shunitangasya ya potni shushube namulvanam jaddo shilyat sharajarshi nirvinyo nirogat purat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Last two verses, please. Someone can.
I'll try, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yam anga sepu kupita vagbajramunaya kila gatasus tasya bhuyaste mamanthur dakshinam karam rajake tadaloke dasyubhi pidita praja jato narayanam shena prithur adhyakshitishvaraha. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. And now I'm going to go back and read the word-to-word translation and translation of all these verses in one go. And then we will read purport. The purport is given only in the last two verses. There is no purport in verses from 13 to 18. Yeah, there's no purport. These are only names of the descendants of Dhruv Maharaj. And someone may raise a question that so why we are just reading names. But my Guru Maharaj says that these names are very purifying. Just by hearing them or by reciting these names, we get purification. So therefore, we have repeatedly recited these verses. So I'm taking up now verse number 13. पुष्पार्पणस्य प्रभाभार्या दोषाचाद्वे बभूवतुः प्रातर्मध्यादिनं सायम् इति हयासन प्रभासुताः. Word translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Pushparpanasya, of Pushparn, Prabha, Bharya, wife, Dosha, dosh, cha, also, dve, two, Babhuvatu, var, pratar, madhyadinam, shayam, iti, thus, height, certainly, asan, var, Prabha, Sutah, sons of Prabha. Translation. Pushparna had two wives named Prabha and Dosha. Prabha had three sons named Pratar, Madhyadinam, and Sayam. X 14. Pradosho Nishito Vyushta iti dosha suta traya vidushta suta pushkarinyam sarvatejsam adate. Word translation. Pradosh, Nishita, Vyushtha, iti, thus, dosha, of dosh, sutaha, sons, traya, three, Vedushta, sutam, son, pushkarinyam, in Pushkirini, Sarvatej, some named Sarvatej, all powerful, in bracket, Adadhe, begot. Translation. Dosha had three sons, Pradosh, Nishit, and Vidusht. Vidusht's wife was named Pushkirini, and she gave birth to a very powerful son named Sarvateja. Text 15 and 16. Sa chakshu sutam akutyam patanyam manum avapaha manorath asut mahishi virjan nadvala sutan puram kutsam tritam dhumnam satyavantam vritam agnihostram atiratram pradyumnam shibim ulmukam. Word translation. Sa he Sarvateja Chakshu, named Chakshu, Sutam, son, Akutyam, in Akuti, Patnayam, wife, Manu, Chakshu Manu, Avap, obtained, Ha, indeed, Mano, of Manu, Asut, gave birth to, Mahishi, queen, Virjan, without passion, Nadvala, Sutan, sons, Puram, Puru, Kushtam, Kutsa, Ritam, Rita, Dyuman, Satyavantam, Satyavan, Vritam, Agnistrotam, Agnistoma, Atiratra, Pradyuman, Shibi, Ulmuk. Translation. Sarvateja's wife Akuti gave birth to a son named Chakshusha, who became the sixth Manu at the end of Manu millennium. Nadvala, the wife of Chakshusha Manu, gave birth to the following faultless sons: Puru, Utsa, Pret, Dyumun, Satyavan, Rit, Vrat, Agnistoma, Atitratra, Pradyuman, Shibi, and Ulmuk. Text 17. Ulmuko janiyat putran pushpikirinyan shat uttaman angam sumansam khatim krutum angirasam gayam. Word translation. Ulmuk janiyat, begot, putran, sons, pushkarinyam, in Pushkirni, his wife, shat, six, uttaman, very good, angam, ang, sumansam, sumna, khyatim, khyati, kritu, angi, rasam, angira, gayam, gaya. Translation. Of the 12 sons, Ulmuk begot 6 sons in his wife Pushkirni. They were all very good sons, and their names were Anga, Sumna, Khyati, Krutu, Angira, and Gaya. Text 18. Sunithagasya yapatni sushve venum ulbanam yad daushiliatsa rajrishir nirvinno nirgat purat. What were translation? And translation. Sunitha Angasya of Anga, Ya, she who, Patni, the wife, Shushve, gave birth to Venam, Vain, Ulbanam, very crooked, Yat, whose, Daulishiliat, on account of bad character, Daushiliat, on account of bad character, Sahi, Rajrishi, the saintly king Ang, Nirvinna, very disappointed, Nirgat, went out, Purat, from whom. Translation. The wife of Ang, Sunitha, gave birth to a son named Vain, who was very crooked. The saintly king Ang was very disappointed with Vain's bad character, and he left home and kingdom and went out to the forest. Text 19 and 20. Text, these two verses have purport, which I'm going to read after translation. Yamangshe pukufta vagvaja muni akil gatos tasya bhuyaste mamanthur dakshinam karam rajke tadaloke dasubhi piditah praja yato Narayan Shena Rithur Ardekiti Shwaraha. What word translation? Yam him, Vain, whom, Ang, my dear Vidur, Shepuhu, they cursed, Kupita, very being angry, Vak Vraja, whose words are as strong as a thunderbolt, Munya, great sages, kill, indeed, Gatos, Tasya, after he died, Bhuya, moreover, they, Mamanthu, churned, Dakshinam, right, Karam, hand, Arajake, being without a king, Tada, then, Loke, the world, Dasyubhi, by rogues and thieves, Pidita, suffering, Praja, all the citizens, Jata, advance, Narayana, Narayan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Amshen, by a partial representation, Prathu, Adya, original, Itishwara, ruler of the world. Translation. My dear Vidura, when great sages curse their, sorry, I'll read again. Translation. My dear Vidura, when great sages curse, their words are as invincible as a thunderbolt. Thus, when they cursed King Vain out of anger, he died. After his death, since there was no king, all the rogues and thieves flourished, and the kingdom became unregulated, and all the citizens suffered greatly. On seeing this, the great sages took the right hand of Vain as a churning rod, and as a result of their churning, Lord Vishnu, in his partial representation, made his advent as King Prathu, the original emperor of the world. Purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Monarchy is better than democracy because if the monarchy is very strong, the regulative principles within the kingdom are upheld very nicely. Even 100 years ago in the state of Kashmir in India, the king was so strong that if a thief were arrested in his kingdom and brought before him, the king would immediately chop off the hands of the thief. As a result of this severe punishment, there were practically no theft cases within the kingdom. Even if someone left something on the street, no one would touch it. The rule was that the things could be taken away only by the proprietor and that no one else would touch them. In the so-called democracy, wherever there is a theft case, the police come and take note of the case, but generally the thief is never caught, nor is any punishment offered to him. As a result of incapable government, at the present moment, thieves, rogues, and cheaters are very prominent all over the world. So first, let us also have a good understanding about the context. in these verses were recited. We have been hearing for the past couple of months about the transcendental activities of Dhruv Maharaj and his progression towards the supreme abode of the Lord, Vishnu Loka, which is Vishnu Loka. And we also heard in the during the course of these 2 months about the strong austerities and penances performed by Dhruv Maharaj to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhruv Maharaj, son of Maharaja Utanpat and Mother Suniti, how he went to, along with his mother, how he went to Vishnu Loka. At the end of the previous chapter, Maitre Muni gives description about the purity of hearing the activities of Dhruv Maharaj. In the beginning of this current chapter, which is chapter 13, Vidurji desired to know the conversation which Narad Muni had with Prachetas, because in that conversation, Narad Muni had described the transcendental activities of Dhruv Maharaj and also glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidurji was more interested in knowing at this stage about the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead done by Narad Muni. So in response to the query of Vidurji, Maitre Muni again starts giving first information on the descendants of Dhruv Maharaj. In the first few verses, Maitreji informs how the eldest son of Dhruv Maharaj, Utkal, because of his saintly qualities and because of his detachment to the world's affairs, he did not accept the throne of Dhruv Maharaj, and he left it open to be occupied by his younger son, whose name was Vatsar. Vatsar married his wife Swarviti and got 6 sons from her. And yesterday's verse gave names of those sons, and I'm going to just repeat that, and after that we will come back to the purport. King Vatsar had a very dear wife whose name was Swarviti, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Ish, Urj, Vasu, and Jai. And from verse 13 to 18, again, the names of the further descendants of Dhruv Maharaj are given, which we have already repeatedly spoken and heard. Now we're going to look at the some of the finer points, some of the main points of purport. In the purport of verse number 19 and 20, I'll just go back quickly. Srila Prabhupada writes, monarchy is better than the democracy because if the monarchy is very strong, the regulatory principles within the kingdom are upheld very nicely. It reminds me of a statement I had read when I was very young, maybe 15, 16 years old. At that time, I heard or read somewhere that the British Prime Minister, whose name was Winston Churchill, he made a statement and he said, democracy is the worst form of governance after any other form. I'll repeat what he said. Democracy is the worst form of governance after any other form. When I read this purport of today's verse, I recalled that statement. But then I felt a little pity on Winston Churchill. He unfortunately had not had the opportunity of seeing Srila Prabhupada or hearing Srila Prabhupada, who would have corrected him to say that no, monarchy is better than the democracy. But it is also subject to certain conditions that the king should be religious minded, God fearing, and fully aware of the regulative principles. As against that, as we see, the present day kings and the heads of states are just um, chasing after a sense enjoyment, and they want to maximize their sense gratification. They have no idea about the regulative principles. All over the world, there are slaughterhouses and alcoholic centers. So therefore, uh, Srila Prabhupada has very kindly explained that monarchy is better than the democracy. Uh, this these kind of explanations by Srila Prabhupada are based on the authorities of Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, the Varnashram Dharma, or the occupational duties of different Varna and ashrams are given from verse 42 to 44. First, it talks about the Brahmanas. In the case of Brahmanas, Lord Krishna says, Shamos damasta pashocham kashantim arjavam evcha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahm karam sabhavjam. How a Brahmana should have, the qualities of Brahmana, how are they born out of his natural nature? Brahm karam sabhavjam. Shamo damo. He is peaceful. He is self-controlled. Shamo damo tapo. He is always performing austerities. Shamo damo shapo. Shamo damo tapo shautam. He is always clean, purity. Kashantim. He is always tolerant. Kashantim. And he is always honest and Shantim Arjavam. Shamo Zabas Tapasham Shotam Kashantim Arjavam Evcha. Jnanam Vijnanam. He is full of knowledge, and he is applying that knowledge, Jnanam Vijnanam. And Astikam Karam Shamas Damas Tapashocham Kashantim Arjavam Evcha. Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam. Brahm Karam Sabhavjam. Astikyam. Astika means he has full faith on the authority of Vedas, on the pronouncements of Vedas, and he fully appreciates and recognizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Vishnu, Lord Shri Krishna. In this, on this word, Astikyam, the general understanding in India is that Astik is one who believes in the existence of God. And Nastik is the one, the opposite to Astik is Nastik. Nastik is one who does not believe on the existence of God. This is not the correct understanding of the word Astik. Astik is one who accepts the authorities of Vedas and who accepts that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know all around the world there are different belief systems, and then they try to limit even the name of the God. But if someone says that no, he doesn't believe in the Vedas, he is not to be considered as astic, no matter what his belief system is. If he believes the pronouncements of Vedas or Vedic literature, then he is to be considered as astic. Otherwise, he is also to be classified as nastic. And next, in the next one, the verse, which is relevant to today's purport and discussion, if the verse talks about the qualities of Kshatriya, Shaurya Tejam Dhiti Daksham Yuddha Cha Palayanam Dhanam Ishwaram Bhavam Cha Shatram Karam Sabhavjam. How Kshatriya is is expected to react, or how he is expected to work. Shauryam, he is always having exemplary chivalry. He is, Srila Prabhupada has translated this word as heroism. He is full of heroism and power. Shaurya Tejo, power, Tejo, Dhiti, determination. Shaurya Tejo Dhiti Daksham, Shaurya Tejo Dhiti Daksham, Yuddha Chapalayanam. He will never show his back in the battlefield. He would prefer to be killed in the battlefield than show his back. Shaurya Tejo Dhiti Daksham Yuddha Chaplayanam Danam Ishram Bhavancha. And he's always open and very forthcoming in giving charities. Uh, 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 a Kshatriya should never accept donation. He should always give donation. And that's his nature. Danam Ishwaram Bhavam Cha. Shatram. And then he's controller, Ishwaram. So Kshatriyas are considered to be the to occupy the position of kings, and they are supposed to act under the guidance of the Brahmanas. Brahmana being on the top of the ladder. Then these are the natural qualities Shri Krishna has given in the Bhagavad Gita, and then further the qualities of Vaishyas and Shudras are also given. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam Vaishyas Karam Sabhavjam Paricharyatmukam Karma Shudras Karam Sabhavjam. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam. Krishi means doing agriculture to produce abundant amount of grains so that the entire population of the world can be fed nicely. And then Kichi Goraksha. And they are also, the Vaishyas are, these are the qualities of Vaishyas, or the main occupation of the Vaishyas. Krishi agriculture, Goraksha, bringing up cows, taking care of them, and ensuring sufficient quantities of milk is produced so that people can drink milk and eat milk-related product so that their brain works very well. And then third is Vanijyam, doing trading, taking goods from one place to another place and in between making some profit. These are the natural qualities of Vaishyas. And then what about the last one? Paricharyatmakam karma, doing service to other. All the three statuses of life, or three varnas of life, that is the duty of the Shudras. Always engaging in their service, and then but in these days, in a way, everybody is Shudras because everybody is doing service to someone. Either he's working under some organization under someone, or is working in the government departments, like I'm working. So these are not the qualities of other three varnas. So the quality, that's why Srila Prabhupada has mentioned somewhere that these days majority of the population is acting like a Shudras. But even in this varnashram stage, the perfection can be achieved in all the stages. That's why in the next verse of chapter 18, it is said that Sweswe karam bhi nirta samsiddhim labdhe nara. Everybody can achieve the perfection of life by sticking to one's profession. So this is all about the natural qualities which are born out of our nature. Now I will touch another aspect In Bhagavatam, Canto 11, there are 4 verses which I have just brought up in front of you, dear devotees. These 4 verses are in relation to a conversation between Lord Shri Krishna and Uddhav. In these 4 verses, the first 3 verses cover 28 qualities of a saintly person. And then in the last verse, who is the best of the saintly person, or what kind of qualities he is expected to have, that is described in the last verse. So first I'll have a look, and then I'll also explain the relevance of today's discussion with these verses. I will first read these verses, and then we'll have a look at some of the aspects of these verses. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kripalur Akritohas Dikshu Sarvadehinam Satyasaro Navatyatma Sama Sarvopakar Kamair At Dhirdanto Mridu Shuchir Akinchana Aniho Mit Bhukshanta Siro Vacharno Muni Apramatto Gabhiratma Dhriti Jit Shat Gunaha Apramatto Gabhiratma Dhitim Ajit Shat Gunaha Amani Manda Kalyo Maitra Karnika Kavihi Agya Evam Gunan Doshan Maidishtan Swakan Dharman Santyajya Ya Sarvan Mamajetu Sa Sattamaha. If you kindly notice that I have marked 2 words in these 4 verses in red ink: Akrit Droh and Macharano. First, let's talk about the Macharano. Out of these 28 qualities, Kripalu is always merciful, Akrit Doho Tritikshu, Satyasaro always. Out of all these 28 qualities, Macharano, according to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, if one acquires the quality of Macharano means taking shelter of Shri Krishna's lotus feet, then the remaining 27 qualities will automatically develop in that person. If someone takes Macharano, they will automatically follow. Now let's look at the Akrit Do. In the purport, the Akrit Do is explained as you can see in the screen. And I have highlighted some part in red. Can I request one of the devotees to read out only one red part? Anyone can do that.
One may argue that great Vaishnava kings such as Maharaja Yudhishthira and Parikshit Maharaja executed many criminals. However, when justice is properly administered by the state, sinful, destructive persons actually benefit from their punishment because they become freed from the severe karmic reactions to their illicit activities. A Vaishnava ruler gives punishment not out of envy or malice, but in faithful obedience to the laws of God. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let me repeat the last sentence. A Vaishnava ruler gives punishment not out of envy or malice, but in faithful obedience to the laws of the God. Now we hear these days about the abolition of, some people want to abolish capital punishment, but we can clearly understand the position in Vedic literature that it is not necessary to abolish the capital punishment, because by executing a person, we are, in fact, the ruler is helping him in getting rid of his karmic reaction. That is what is explained. And it is also clearly mentioned that previously the Rajrishis like Maharaja Yudhishthira, Maharaja Parikshit, how they executed many criminals. So it is not a bad thing to punish a person, even if it is required he is to be executed because of his heinous crime. Then in that way the king is in fact helping him. Otherwise he will have to again take a birth and again suffer heavily because of his sinful activities. So the role sorry, the role of a king is very nicely explained in the purport of this verse. That was the purpose of my bringing up these verses. Now we're going to have a look at uh, another verse, which also explains the uh, duties of a king and how they are relevant to the today's context and how the current rulers all over the world are doing, which is also explained when we talk about the characteristics of what's going to happen in Kali Yuga. I'll just read this verse. This is a verse which is spoken by Narad Muni to Yudhishthir Maharaj in Canto 7, chapter 11, verse number 14, about the duties of king. Viprasyadhyad viprasyadhyanadini shatnyasya pratigraha ragyo vriti prajagoptur aviprad va karadibhi. The I'm just reading the part of the translation. It says that a king or a kshatriya is not allowed to levy taxes on brahmanas, but he may make his livelihood by levying minimal taxes, custom duties, and penalties, fines upon his subjects. As against this, what is the current situation? All over the world, the governments are increasing taxes day by day, making life of general population very hard. But whereas the Vedic instructions are that king, first of all, king is not required to take any tax from the brahmanas, the intelligence class, but he may take his taxes from other three segments. So this is what is expected of a saintly king. And now I am going to share something. When Srila Prabhupada was present on this planet, he once had a meeting with the former Prime Minister of India. Her name was Indira Gandhi. And in that meeting was a very short-lived meeting because of the fact that just a few days before or day before, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he was assassinated. And Indira Gandhi got some information that she is also going to be assassinated. Unfortunately, on that day, she was so terrified that she had a very brief meeting with Srila Prabhupada, who otherwise it was expected that meeting will last long. And Srila Prabhupada had jotted 10 points, which are given on this slide. Srila Prabhupada, if you look at the third point, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, had two sons, Rajiv Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi's son is current head of the party, sort of, Rahul Gandhi. And Srila Prabhupada wanted Sanjay to be declared as the king and Indira Gandhi as mother, as queen. And that's because Srila Prabhupada always stressed that the monarchy is superior to democracy. Sorry, somebody wants to say something? A powerful and enlightened king like Lord Rama Maharaja Yudhishthir should take guidance from ideal Brahmanas and rule the country for the sake of Dharma. Srila Prabhupada suggested that Sanjay take charge of the country and bring Ram Rajya back to Bharat. And taking the opportunity of this slide, I'll also look at the other points which Srila Prabhupada wanted to discuss with Mrs. Gandhi. Grant immigration for 500 foreigners. All member of parliaments initiated Brahmanas. Sanjay the king, the Indira Gandhi queen mother. 4. Close slaughterhouses. 5. Chanting. 6. Meat eaters at home. No public meat eating. 7. Prostitution punishable. No religious group except followers of Bhagavad Gita. All government officers must join Kirtana at least twice a day. Support Krishna consciousness all over the world. So these were the beautiful vision of Srila Prabhupada about Indian governance in India. But unfortunately, these points could not be taken up for discussion because of the fact that Mrs. Indira Gandhi was not in a position to talk to Srila Prabhupada. I think that's all I had to say on today's purport. And I'll end up with the uh, prayer, which is in response to King Nimi. Uh, when King Nimi asked about who is the king of the king, then Karbhajanji, one of the 9 Yogendras, he gave answers to Nimi Maharaj's question. So this is in the form of prayer, and it is, in fact, these 2 verses are prayer for the glorification of our dear Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. I'm just going to recite these 2 verses, and then I'll give pause to my speech. Namaste Vasudevaya, Namah Sankarshanaaya cha, Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya, Tubhyam Bhagavate Namaha, Narayanaya Rishye, Purushaya Mahatmane, Vishveshwaraya Vishvaya, Sarvbhutatmane Namaha. In these 2 verses, it is only Karbhajanji paying obeisances to different names and incarnations of the Lord. With that, I will end here and I'll leave the forum open for further comments, questions, or whatever. Hare Krishna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare
If you have
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji,
Our beautiful class right in the morning on the day of Diwali. Yeah. Yes, nice. You have just brought up the family tree of our great Dhruva Maharaj. And we know from how the family tree brings down and give us the right perspective of the right candidate to carry on the legacy of Dhruva Maharaj. So at the last 19 and 20, we see that King Anga had a son which is Bina, and he was so crooked. So on the punishment given by the sages, he was finished because the invincible words from the sages can kill any any king by their actions. So that we learn and how this King Prithu was born of from the source of his one right hand by churning. And this is also the aspects of this verse 19 and 20, how the great things happens. So we see that, and you have nicely explained the family tree and along with the importance of the so-called monarchy of Unfortunately, nowadays we can't see the monarchy anymore because so many misunderstanding and misappropriation of Bhagavad Gita. Though Prabhupada has already had a meeting with Indira Gandhi, as you mentioned, and we can see on the text. Unfortunately, nothing could take place because of the change of situations. However, the points Srila Prabhupada given are so much, so important that if it would been implemented, the world would have been a different phase today. Because of this anarchy, instead of monarchy, everything is going out of control, and everybody is playing their game their own way, not following the regulative principle, not following any shastra, whatever it is. All the anarchy is going all over the world, and the world is in topmost form of anarchy, and everybody is taking their own share of it, leaving the general public in trouble, and the world is facing such a situation. If we see, look around, the war between Soviet Union and this. So there's no point of quarreling each other when they have the sufficient wealth and prosperity. Still, they want to crush others' property, and hence they fight with each other. So this is the subject matter of our Bhagavad and Bhagavad Gita, where Prabhupada was uh, pronouncing that if you don't follow the Shastra, this is going to happen. And this is what you can see today. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much for your beautiful comments, Prabhuji. In conclusion, I can say that the devotees in ISKCON are very fortunate that we have taken shelter under the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and we have got some idea about what is right and what is wrong. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for adding this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad pranam.
I have taken note of the things you have very carefully told about the meaning of the word astikya. Astika means you're told that who believes in the Vedas and accept the Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because otherwise, although even now, astik and nastik, these two words are often frequently used, and most of the people take pride in telling that they don't believe in the astik, or rather they are nastik. And but you have also carefully selected the word astik, that anybody who say just believe in the God is not enough. He has to believe in the what is stated in the Shastra. In other words, in all the Vedic conclusion of all Vedic scripture is that the Lord Krishna is the supreme, or from him everything emanates. And Krishna has also told in chapter 15 also that that he is the conclusion of the Vedas, Vedaham Samad. And he is the conclusion that the Vedas come, those who have learned the Vedas comes to the conclusion that Krishna is the supreme. And that is, and by considering that point only, in the word, in our Rupa Goswami has told that although the Lord Buddha was a incarnation of the God, but his followers, since they do not follow the scriptures, they cannot be told. We do not we do not consider them as devotees, because they reject the contents of the Vedas. So thank you for pointing out that point. And the other thing you have told about Matcharano. Matcharano is in fact the combination of the two words, Mat and Sarano. Mat means here the Lord, and Sharan, who has taken shelter of the Lord. And in fact, one who has taken shelter of the Lord, all good qualities automatically accrues in him. And who doesn't take shelter of the Lord, all good qualities are found deficient. Whatever he tries to do, he cannot acquire it. But who has fully surrendered to the Lord, gradually with the mercy of the Lord and the devotees around him, helps him to acquire the good qualities, which ultimately helps him to realize God. with the mercy and the help of the mercy of the devotees, mercy of the Lord and mercy of the devotees that helps him to good all these qualities. Thank you, Prabhuji. Anybody else? Anybody wants to tell? That would be nice.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, just adding to this Prabhuji's comment that another point which just stuck to my mind is 1842, where is that Jnana Vigyan? You talk about that Gyan Vigyan. That is the thing actually we must pinpoint it, because we have the knowledge, but if we don't practice it, it doesn't help us. So only by Gyan and Vigyan, that will help us to proceed to our devotional service, and then Samarpan will come with a mat sharanam. So that is also very important. So all four words, they're all interlinked to get the spiritual advancement. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Thank you very much for your beautiful comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanur Ram. Thank you for a very nice class, Prabhu. Prabhu, just on verse 18,
Yes.
it says that King Anga was very disappointed with Venus' bad character, and he left the kingdom and went to the forest. But then you mentioned that monarchy is very strong. Would it not have been possible for King Vena to punish, King Anga to punish his son Vena? Could you please give a bit of elaboration, because he seemed a bit contradictory, because he was quite crooked and should have been, rather than he being the king going to the forest, you should have banished him. King should have banished Vena. It looks a bit contradictory, but maybe you'd like to comment.
I am not quoting from any authority, but I'm just giving my understanding, which needs to be cross-checked, of course. My understanding is that at that time, King Anga had decided to retire and devote the rest of his life for the devotional service, and as he wanted to achieve the perfection of life. So since he got detached, so he was not in that position of punishing Vain. And so therefore the responsibility of punishing Vain was taken up by the Brahmanas and sages. That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Yes, that's a possible explanation. Thank you.
Thank you.
With this point, always sort of came out to me. I said, oh, why King Anga had to leave? Then Brahman had to curse the king and take him out of. And then out of his body, the Lord Vishnu appeared as this Raj. Yeah. So it's amazing. I mean, how just by the churning of the right hand, the Lord appeared.
Yeah. In this connection, I heard my Guru Maharaj saying that whatever technological advancement you see these days, these have appeared and disappeared in previous yugas at a much greater level. So if someone says that, oh, very nice mobile has been invented, and Guru Maharaj says that these things are just have been repeatedly appeared and disappeared. So don't, and Guru Maharaj's advice is don't be fascinated by the current technological advancement. The technology, I was hearing someone, the fight the Mayavi Danav had with the Krishna Bhagwan, the technology which he used was far more, unimaginable in the today's context. But he had that kind of capacity. So but as we generally are enamored by our limited vision, we think that, oh, this is a great time that we are getting so many inventions. But the matter of fact is different. The technological advancements have come and again, and if churning of King Vain's hand and Lord's appearance, Lord has, as we all know, Prabhuji, you know better than me, Lord has inconceivable potencies. He can do anything and everything. That's why he's Lord. So he appeared by the churning of his hand, King Ven.
Thank you, Prabhu. This technology was very advanced.
Yeah.
There's a similar parallel in, I think, the Bible. Adam and Eve, I think Eve was created from the rib bone of Adam. So, I mean, if living entity can be created from the rib bone, then this is also possible by churning the right hand of King Vena. The Lord appears as King Prithu. Yeah, there's been a parallel there.
Unfortunately, I've not read Bible. Once I'm through to my some of my important lined up scriptures, I will definitely give myself some time to read.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice to see you. Nice to hear you. I thought you were still in Fiji.
No, I came back a week before last.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, anybody else got any comments or realization to share before we end the class? Okay, doesn't seem to be so. Prabhu. Anadi Mohan Prabhu, thank you very much for coming
Thank
to
you.
this morning. It's a public holiday in Diwali day. So giving this important verses, so many verses you covered today. Thank you very much. His Grace Anadi Mohan Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam jai, God Pattamani Gattamani, Mancha Katpadavibhescha, Pavnibhyo, Vishnavibhyo, Namanama.
Ananta Koti
Vishnavan ki
Vaishnava Ki Jai.
jai.